Welcome back, everybody, to Late Nights with Warm Whiskey. Tonight I'm going to be diving into one that I've enjoyed. A few of these expressions and offerings from Heaven Hill, which happens to be the Old Fitzgerald Bottled in Bond. This is their seasonal premium offerings that come in their fancy diamond decanter bottles. This happens to be the 9-year-old, and I believe this was a 2020 release. There have been a few of these that have hit over the past couple of years. A 13, a 14, there have been varying ages, some that have been available at the distillery in their gift shop. And the one we're covering tonight is going to be the 9-year-old Bottled in Bond Old Fitzgerald. So I believe Heaven Hill acquired the right to the namesake of Old Fitzgerald in the mid to late 90s, somewhere around that period. And they used to have a 12-year-old offering, and there may have been other offerings. But today we only get the Diamond Decanter, limited premium editions. And there is still in a handful of states, or maybe just in the state of Kentucky, the only place I have ever found the Old Fitzgerald, or the Old Fitz Prime, an 80 proof whiskey that sits on the bottom shelf at a really decent price. And for being 80 proof, it is a respectable offering. No problems with the Old Fitz Prime. Wish I could have enjoyed or got more chances to try the 12-year-old before, the great whiskey boom and things are what they are today, but we are where we're at. And now we have the premium offering. So the 9-year-old fell within a pretty respectable price range. This fell within that $80 to $90 region. Maybe $89.99. Some of the other offerings have crept to $120 to $150 in their price point. All of them that I have had, in my opinion, have been consistent and have been good, and I've enjoyed them. And it's one of those things where the cost is a extra factor, but I do believe they are worth it. And on that note, it has got a very, I don't know what else to say, bulbous cork. It really needs to be forced in and out of there. But yeah, you could hurt somebody with that. So it is a most wonderful time of the year. In other words, enjoying at this point in time a quite hefty Lagunitus. The Waldo's Special Ale happens to be a triple IPA released once a year. Used to be or usually on 420. These days you might be able to find it a little bit before then. It is varied. It came in 6 packs, now 4 packs. But it is a very heavy, deep, dark, dank IPA. And I look forward to it each and every year, although I've not been drinking as much of these deep, dank IPAs as of late, so they do pack a little punch. So, the Old Fitzgerald Heaven Hill offering, they have these premium diamond decanter editions that are spring and fall releases. They also have, so Old Fitz, famous for being a weeded mash bill, a weeded bourbon, and they have their offshoot of the Old Fitz line with the Larceny. So the old tale is Mr. Fitzgerald worked for the government during Prohibition and had access to the rick house, and he would take from those rick houses the barrels he liked the most for himself and entertainment and so on and so forth. So is the marketing legend or story of Mr. Fitzgerald and Larceny, the tie-in to Old Fitzgerald. Larceny has had some really interesting offerings. I have no problem with Larceny for the price. Readily available, very affordable price, and it's a weeded bourbon, respectable proof. Have no issues with it. It's a solid offering in a world where Weller is very scarce. I know a lot of people live in certain states where it can be very hard to get them. And then some people live next to states where it seems to be abundant. Such is the case we are dealing with in this day and age. But weeded whiskeys are pretty popular. I think Weller was one of the ones that Weller and the Pappy Van Winkle, the legendary Pappy Van Winkle, Rip Van Winkle, old Rip Van Winkle, that family and product line, which has switched hands and was always something sourced, always something made by a non-producing entity, has now come to be the holy grail of American bourbons, the most highly sought after, and often people paying absolutely ridiculous secondary market pricing for said bourbons. Fortunately enough, you have many offerings, and taste is open to interpretation, and even given the prices that some of these premium offerings are coming out at, it may help stem the tide of it rolling over and increasing in value on the secondary market. If you pay a premium price to begin with, it might prevent that from somewhat. So I can understand why the trend and advent of premium bourbons at a premium price is becoming pretty established at this point in time, or it's trying to establish itself at this point in time. So on the nose, you've got just a straight up classic bourbon. You have a wonderful aroma of burnt sugar, cherries, apple, oak. That combination seems to really translate well on the nose. Seems to be, any bottled and bond whiskey is going to be 100 proof, and that is a respectable proof. No need to cut or chill filter the whiskey. You hope it doesn't happen. Some distilleries still do it to whiskeys that are above 92 proof or in that range. For whatever reason they choose to do so. Perhaps it's a mistake, perhaps it's not. But over the years I've come to determine that uncut, unfiltered whiskeys seem to have a longer lasting finish, a richer, fuller mouthfeel, and gives you a totally different dimension to the experience. Whereas whiskeys that may still be good, really fine whiskeys that have been cut or chill filtered, they seem to cut short on the finish. The ride comes on and then comes to an abrupt halt just as you're really sinking your teeth into it. So let's dive into this and see how it is. Even at the age of 9 years, this is showing some good complexity to it. I mean, this again, we're talking a wheated bourbon mash bill. It's right within that flavor spectrum you would expect. And even for the younger age, the oak presence is there. And again, I guess at that young of an age, you're not risking it getting too bitter or tannic from cooking in a barrel for too long. All depends on where that barrel sits inside there, how it's going to turn out. Some distilleries rotate them, a lot of them do. Some of them keep them sitting in the same position. They don't mess with them. And all that's going to have an effect on your finished product. There's not much else we can say about the old Fitzgerald. 9-year-old, bottled in bond, premium diamond decanter, seasonal release. It is a absolutely fantastic example of a good, solid bourbon profile. And with that, we will end this one and we will say, Skål!